Woodworkers, today's fall theme build is perfect for hauling around all that cash you're going to make this year from selling all your holiday woodworking creations. Truth is, it actually doesn't roll all that great, so you might just have to carry it. Even better, you can just pile all the cash on top of it and use it as a display. All right, enough talking. Let's get to building. Okay, for this build, I'm going to start with this sheet of plywood right here. It's a scrap sheet. Oh, look, I look like the dude from... who is this dude? You guys tell me. Hey, Tim, what's your problem over there? Anyways, I'm going to start with this sheet of plywood. So this is scrap plywood, so the size doesn't matter that much. I'm starting with about 21 inches by 12 inches. I'm going to do a little bit of explaining before I get started. It's going to make it a little easier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach some 2x2s in each corner like this. Okay? And if you don't have 2x2s, you can cut down a 2x4. You can even use a 2x4. I just think it looks more aesthetically pleasing if you use a 2x2. So I'm going to screw this 2x2 from the bottom, and then I'm going to attach 1x4s stacked up like this all the way around. And then I'm going to have, another one over here. So my 2x2 comes out roughly to 6 5/8. Now yours may be different depending on how thick your 1x4 is, depending on how thick the plywood is that you use for the base. You could use, 1/2 inch plywood, up to 3/4. 3/4 is probably overkill for this little thing that I'm making. 1/2 inch would have been better, but this is scrap. I'm using scrap. So that's my 2x2. You're gonna have to figure out what yours is by getting your 1x4, stacking them up, and seeing where it stops, where they're gonna be flush. And they don't even have to be perfectly flush. Okay, I got all my 1x4s cut and ready to be sanded. I got 4 1x4s at 21 inches and 4 1x4s at 12 inches. I sanded all my smaller pieces on the TP2000 or the benchtop belt sander for people who haven't been on my channel before. And then I sanded all the bigger pieces with my orbital sander. My 1x4 has a split in it, so I wanted to glue it and put some CA glue in there to bond it real quick. And every time I go to use this CA glue, it's dried up in the tip. I can't believe they can't come out with a better tip on this. Do you guys know of a better brand that this doesn't happen as often? Let me know in the comments. So around all 4 sides, I'm gonna have 2 pieces that come together just like this. And to give it a little bit more character, I'm gonna chamfer both edges so it has like a little V in between, just to liven it up a little bit. I ended up liking the chamfered edge so much, I did it around all the boards. So I got all my pieces ready, and now I'm gonna start assembling this part of the project. And the first thing I'm gonna do is attach the 2x2s to the base. I'm gonna put the 2x2s like this. I'm gonna attach them with screws and glue from this side. I'm gonna pull this close to the edge so that I can clamp it and it doesn't move when I'm putting the screw in. I'm also making sure all the grain that looks better is facing in when I assemble this, so it looks good when it's done. Then just flip your board around and attach all 4 2x2s the same way. If you got some squeeze out, just use a straw and scrape it on out. So to attach the side panels, I'm just gonna put some glue. And then I like to brush the glue in like preparation H on a hemorrhoid. Get it in there nice and deep. I'm gonna turn it like this so I could use my bench to hold the side rail straight. And then I'm gonna pin nail it. Now I'm gonna run a B between the first and second panel, but don't overload it because you got that V channel in there now. And if you get glue in it, you're not gonna be able to get it out. And then just repeat that whole process on all 4 sides. Now when cutting the end boards, I purposely left them the same width as the base so that I create this little decorative V groove in there. It was not a mistake.
I don't believe him.
If you want, you can overlap them like this. I just left it like this. I just thought it would give it more character and look more authentic, but you can do it however you want. Okay, so this part of the build is done. The next part is a little bit more tricky depending on which way you go. I'm gonna give you some options. But this part right here, if you stopped here, this could make a great box. You could put some handles on it. You can make if you stood it up, it could be like a cabinet. There's all kinds of stuff, a little trunk. You could put a lid on it. I mean, just this base right here, there's a lot you could do with this. But what I'm making is, if you haven't guessed already, a wagon. And a wagon needs wheels. So there's a lot of different ways you can make wheels for this thing. You can use a bandsaw or your jigsaw and just cut a circle out of a piece of wood. You can go online. Amazon sells 6-inch plywood circles that you could buy and be done with it. If you don't have a jigsaw, if you don't have a bandsaw, there's another way you can make a circle or a wheel for this. You could cut wedges. Now these are at 22.5 degrees on my miter saw, and I just cut triangles. And then you can take those triangles and make them into a circle. Now I know it's not a complete circle. You could sand this if you wanted to make it more round. You could cut smaller wedges. The smaller wedges you make, the more circular it's gonna look. So if you went lower than 22 degrees, it would be more slices to make, but it would look more rounded. Another thing you do is you could put different colored wood in between the wedges, so it makes more of a spoke looking wheel. And you would just cut it off here and then go around the outside with like a darker walnut, or you can stain it darker. And you would do that just all the way around and then all around the outside. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna make this, because to me this looks more like a wagon wheel. Without it being a wheel, it's still an octagon. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments, because I'm not real sure about it. To me, it looks cool. I think it looks really cool like a wagon wheel. But do you think it's stupid that it's an octagon and not round? And if I try to sand this round, it wouldn't look right, because the inside would still be an octagon, to me anyways. But I think it looks cool because it looks like a wagon wheel to me. Now to make this wagon wheel, I need a bunch of this 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch material. I have a bunch of it laying around my shop, but it's all different sizes and thicknesses, and I need it to be more consistent. So I'm gonna rip down this 1x6 into a bunch of strips. Now my shop is too small to rip down a full stick. I can't even cut it in half on my miter saw without opening the shop door. Hashtag little shop complex. And no, that is not a walrus silhouette. I got this thin rip jig that I've been dying to give a try. I finally get to use it on something. It can be a little dangerous cutting strips less than an inch up against your fence, so this helps you cut it on the other side, and then you can get consistent cuts without having to remeasure each time. I'll leave a link for it in the description in case you guys want to check it out. I saw a video that said you should be comfortable using your table saw before you use it, so I made sure I was comfortable. Oops, almost forgot my safety glasses. That could have been bad. Here's one more way to make a circle. It's not very practical for what we're doing, but in case you ever want to make a circle, you should need to cut yourself some little thin strips of wood like this. This was some cut off from the boards I just cut. And then add some glue and then wrap them around something round. Now mine cracked. You can wet it a little. It'll help it. Wet the wood a little bit, and that would help it not to crack like that. But I mean, that's another idea. This is a pretty small circle that I was just trying to make, but it works.
So you retarded?
Okay, so I got all my strips cut. Now the first thing I'm gonna cut is the outside pieces. And these are 2 inches long at their widest point, and the angle is 22.5 degrees. And I would set up a stop block so all your pieces are consistently the same size. Okay, before we cut up any of the inside pieces, I'm gonna glue up the outside ring first. That way we can get accurate measurements when we do the inside pieces. If you do each piece at 2.5 inches, it'll make roughly a 6-inch wheel. It's about a 6 and almost a 16th. So to glue up the outer ring, I put down a straight edge so I could help keep it straight when I'm laying it out. And then I'm just gonna put it on some masking tape. Now the masking tape is gonna wanna move on you. So I put a piece upside down on the ends to hold it in place. And I just get it lined up with the edge and tape it down. Oh, it moved. Oh, I did it upside down. I put the tape facing the same way as the other tape and tape it down to the thing. I swear I don't do drugs. Okay, put the sticky side up on the long tape, and then on the end, turn the tape the opposite direction so you can tape it down. And then just put a piece on both ends to hold it down. Otherwise, it's gonna move all over on you. And then just start lining these pieces up like this. Push it up against the back, and then let it fall. Up against the back. Don't push too hard because you'll end up moving it. That's why I clamped the level down. The last time I did this, I didn't clamp the level down and it kept moving on me. And just keep doing that all the way down. Just like that. Now give yourself a little bit of glue in every triangle, whatever you call that. And then I'm gonna spread it out with, I got a flat end on this. It's like a butter knife. It works a lot better for spreading the glue than the brush itself. And then don't forget to put a couple dabs of a little bit of glue on the ends. I always forget. And then I go to tape it up and there's no glue on the very last ones. And then just peel up your tape and start rolling it up. They see me rolling. Why does my head look like a freaking baked potato with a beard? So there you go, and just kind of check the edges, make sure that it's all lining up good. All your gaps are closed up. If you want to get it a little tighter, you can always put some tape across it this way too. Pull it a little bit. Don't squeeze it too hard, you know, because you're going to make it deformed. That's what my dad used to say. This would be a good time to use your straw and get all the squeeze out of the inside. There you go. Who needs wood? I could just use masking tape as the inside spokes. Another thing you can do if you want to make it tighter, if you got some gaps showing, is just get a couple rubber bands and start putting some rubber bands around it. That'll help keep pressure on it. Okay, all my outer rings are done. I'm gonna start adding the inside stuff, but I wanna show you this. This is pretty cool. You can make a bunch of these and do like a wood vase or something, or like a wood container, I don't know, whatever you wanna call that. Okay, so the first piece I'm gonna cut is this long piece that goes all the way across. It's the only one that goes the full length like that. So the way I do it is I just get a sharp point pencil to make sure I'm getting it on the line. I put the piece in there. I don't measure each piece, and then I just mark it. Now I'm gonna cut that. Okay, now your line was on the inside, so you don't wanna cut the line off. You wanna leave the line there. Okay, so see, I left the line on there, and then maybe even a little bit too much. You can see I'm a little bit over the line. I can always sand a little off or just shave a little off with the saw, but you can't put any back on. So I always start a little bit big.
Him started more than a little bit big. Him started really fat.
All right, let's see if it fits. We might have to take a little bit. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's like a perfect fit. Dude, someone call Wood Masters University and tell them to give me my diploma because I just became a doctorate. Jason! Jason! Okay, so I'm going to glue this piece in. I'm scared, guys. I just got too cocky. Whenever I get too cocky, oh, bad things happen. There we go. Now I'm just gonna eyeball center. If you feel more comfortable, you can make a mark on all the centers of these and to help guide you. I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's what I do. And then I just do the same thing on these two sides. You know, some people do the old saying, measure twice, cut once. Well, I eyeball it 3 times. Okay, so this one seems a little bit on the tight side, and I don't want to force it in because I'll push this. This isn't completely dry. I don't want to put any force on it. So you can take a piece of sandpaper and lay it on your workbench and then just rub your thing on there. If you've got one of these sanders with a miter gauge, you can always use this because this will help keep it square. Okay, it's really good right now. I don't want to push it in yet until I have the other piece so I can push them both in at the same time and I don't have to worry about this moving on me. All right, both sides fit really good. And you could stop here, and I think that would look good. You could put it on there just like this. It looks fine to me. But I'm going to go a little bit more just so I can show you, and I'm going to do the full-on, the other 4 sides. Now, this isn't even glued in. These are just so tight that they're holding themselves all together. None of this inner side is glued in on this one. Okay, so now put your saw at 45 degrees. Now you want to cut the tip of your material into a 45-degree point. You can check to make sure they're even by using a speed square or make a line going across. And if you're off like this one is, you can nibble off a little at a time on your bandsaw. Well, bam! Looks like a Monopoly house, don't it? Then just take that, put the 45 into the corner, and then mark the other side. Is it just me or does that look like the X-Man logo? Look at that. Ta-da! Gen X. So just do that same thing all the way around. I got 1 wheel down, 3 more to go. One thing you can do to help speed up the process is once you cut a good one, use a pencil and mark that on your throat plate. Then cut your first 45 over what you really need. Then flip it and put that 45 on the line you made, and it should make you a perfect 45-degree point. Okay, I got all 4 of them built. I have to say, I like the wood grain on my prototype better than I like the wood grain on these. This wood grain, you could barely see it. I wish I would have picked a better board, but it was all I had. Now it was time to sand my wagon wheels. I get a lot of suggestions from people to use this drawer liner to put the stuff on that I'm sanding so it doesn't move around. But as you can see, I was having a lot of problems with this. It just kept spinning. So I went back to my tri-grips, and honestly, this was even worse. So then I tried the rocklers, and they did not do any better. Look at this. Even when I'm holding it, that rockler's spinning and pops out. So I came up with this. I call it the Jasco Bench Cookie Sanding Sandwich. What do you guys think? Okay guys, I'm sorry. Please don't unsubscribe. Now it's time for me to stain this thing. And I got some disappointing news. I'm using the same provincial I always use. Sorry guys. I had to use a little brush because I had all these grooves and crevices everywhere that I put in this thing. Since this could be put outside, I'm going to use a water-based spar urethane that's also rated for exterior use. I see a lot of these YouTube woodworkers wearing tight shirts and flexing while they're doing stuff, but it backfired for me. Sorry. Clear coating all these wagon wheels was really tedious, but it had to be done, so. Now to install the wheels, I put down these tri-grips in the same way you would if you were going to paint something. And these should hold the wagon body about 3 inches off the ground, and that's half the size of the wheels. And then I'm going to put it in about 1 inch from each edge. And I'm going to add a little CA glue to the wheel. Then I pin nailed each wheel on, just with a few pin nails to hold it in place. And for extra strength to make sure this thing doesn't fall off, I put in a screw on the inside. What do you guys think so far? I still got one more trick up my sleeve. You guys know this wouldn't be Jasco Goods if I didn't make 832,000 mistakes and if I didn't put a little bit of personality into everything. I got one more trick. Watch this. Qua-bam! What do you guys think? I made this sign on my laser engraver, but there's all kinds of signs. You could buy letters. You could buy letters like this. They sell them all over the place. Walmart, Michael's, Amazon. I made this one on my laser engraver also. And if you notice, I haven't attached anything permanently. And that's because I like the idea of making stuff that you can use for more than just one holiday. I don't want to be stuck only using this for fall or only using this for Halloween. So I thought of maybe you can use some kind of magnets. Maybe you could use like a hook that you hook the signs on the top, but you could do one for Christmas. You could put a Christmas tree in here. You could put a couple Christmas trees in here, and you can do like a Christmas tree farm. You could use it for more than just 1 year. You could use it for spring, put some flowers in here, have like a spring sign on there. I like to make things that are more versatile because I'm cheap.